Hey guys, what up there, web citizens? It's your Manic Pixie Nightmare Girl bringing you another episode of Love Joolz. Beep, beep. So, today, on Ethnocentric, I'm going to be drawing Laotian action hero, Jtrain! Also, he's a YouTube guy who does a lot of training videos, has a lot of really great tips on how to build your muscles super big. And as somebody who draws a lot of action heroes, that might come in handy. And you get to see me draw an action hero of color, who isn't The Rock. Finally, along with this video, I actually have a recorded interview that I took of Mr. Jtrain a little bit ago. So you'll get to listen to that as well. It's going to be super cool. Check it out. My name is Joolz Rivera, and I am the creator of the web series Ethnocentric, and I am just interviewing people around the internet, people of color, and talking to them about how they feel about pop culture and, what kind of representation they want to see going forward. So thank you for joining us, Jason.
Hey, it's nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm really excited, and I actually love the idea.
Yeah, great. What is it about the idea that you're digging here?
The idea that you want to do like an ethnocentric kind of thing with pop culture and kind of explore that and kind of get other people's opinions on it, as well as even just to kind of talk about pop culture, because I feel that we're kind of in a era to where it's really just blowing up. So I think that this is really cool.
Oh, it's so blowing up. It is absolutely crazy. Like the wild flailing success of Black Panther, that has been probably the most prominent example of, hey, look, ethnic people and like nerd culture things can make you piles of money. It's true. But that's not the only example, but that's like the most prominent money-making example we can see. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Jason, for my viewers and people who might not be familiar with you and your work. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Virginia. I guess that's one thing. I kind of going to where the theme, I guess, of this discussion is. I'm a quarter Asian. The rest is white, but I'm a quarter Asian. I love working out, bodybuilding. Really? Huh? Yeah. It's not too much.
Wow, I'm surprised because if I were to look at you, I would think, man, that is definitely an Asian guy.
Really?
Wow.
So that's a question I guess I can ask you is like when you first saw me, I get a lot of mixed views. Like some people say that I look, Hispanic. Some people say that I look white, but they know that there's something else there. And some people say that they thought I was Asian, which always makes me surprised.
I have Filipino cousins, so you just kind of look like one of my cousins.
Oh, so that's what it was. Well, you got it. I'm a quarter Asian. My mom was actually born in Saigon when it was called Saigon, and then moved over to Laos when I guess it fell to the Viet Cong and stuff. And so I really identify with that culture. I really love the idea the fact that I'm Asian, and I love kind of being part of that culture. And I guess other things to know about me that kind of stand out. I love working out. I love that. I love art, and I love pop culture. So I think there's a lot we can talk about here.
All right, great. And also, you don't just love working out. Let me just point out to my viewers / listeners, whatever you guys are doing. You are not just a dude who likes to work out. You are a dude who works out. You guys have never seen the Jtrain before, but man, you're a big dude. So I first met you a few years back at AwesomeCon, and you had commissioned me to make a piece of artwork for you. But it was very interesting because the piece of artwork I was drawing was a picture of you and your dog. But we have this, it was a very interesting juxtaposition of very big dude and very kind of small dog. Because you had this like mini schnauzer, right?
Yeah, it's a miniature schnauzer. He was a miniature schnauzer.
Oh yeah. So what got you into to bodybuilding and training up like that? Would you consider what you do bodybuilding, or is it more training for any particular sport or purpose?
Well, that question might actually be very, I guess, it could definitely fit into what we're talking about here. When I was growing up, I didn't have that that size or anything like that. I didn't have that kind of physique and everything. But the people that I kind of looked up to were professional wrestlers, comic book characters, and every time you kind of saw those comic book characters, like say Vegeta or any kind of DC Marvel superhero, what kind of stood out to me were those people who just kind of look like indestructible and just kind of like anything that life throws at me, I'm just going to kind of have this. I'm just going to run through a wall, and just fight it and everything. And so that kind of resonated with me, and I kind of wanted to have that look. I mean, I'm not saying that that's like the optimal look for a male or whatever, but to me, like, that is what I kind of liked and wanted to be. And I remember one day I was talking to a friend online about, I think, alcohol and bodybuilding. I was like, I don't know if, I don't think that fits. So I was like going on YouTube.
That doesn't work together at all. You're pickling your liver and then you're bodybuilding at the same time. So your body has to work overtime to heal your stupid hangover and your stupid workout. Yeah, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I went online to see where I get all my answers, YouTube, right? And
Yay!
so
It's true.
this guy was on there. He was Scooby 1961. He was the first guy who who I saw. And I was like, that guy looks like he's part of the Justice League.
Whoa, and, Scooby 1961 is a big dude. All right.
Yeah, and so I just I said, and this was around the time of around January or something. I said, I'm going to make that my New Year's resolution, and I'm not going to quit ever. And it just kind of stuck. And I will tell you that if they paid me as much as they pay me now at my actual job, but I had to work say 16 hours a day in a gym, I would absolutely do that because it's my passion, and I would absolutely love to work in a gym all day, every day until I die. And it's so great that I think I kind of found that passion, and it kind of fits into these people who I looked up to, and say anime characters and everything, and professional wrestlers and everything. And so that's kind of where it's at.
Right. You're actually rolling into some of my earlier questions that I have for you, which is who are some of your heroes growing up? Like, you mentioned Vegeta, maybe some of the DC characters. Can you be a little more specific? Like, who did you look at and go, yeah, I want to be that dude specifically?
So from a physique standpoint, I remember the wrestler who I looked at all the time was Goldberg. To me, I didn't need the flashy characters, though now I kind of look back and respect them a lot more. I love looking at old videos of the Ultimate Warrior and Sting and all these people, but Goldberg, just an unstoppable force of just, he was the wrestler who I always looked up to. Now, Goldberg
was like a human wall. He was a big dude, just solid, and he didn't have a gimmick. He was just a dude in shorts who's gonna wrestle you and just put you on the ground. That was it.
Yeah, he's gonna spear you and jackhammer you and call it a day, and he was undefeated. And I just love that. I just love that. The simplicity of how pointlessly intense he was. Now, when you had first approached me and talked to me about this, what I started thinking about it, and I realized that a lot of the people I looked up to were anime characters. So you look at from a physique standpoint, I really liked looking at say Vegeta and Ultimate Muscle. I remember that was a show that was on.
Oh my gosh! I was just thinking about that show the other day, going, whatever happened to that weird wrestling show was on that Fox Kids network?
Yeah, exactly.
I've never seen this strange wrestling show, and it's so bizarre, but it's a lot of fun to watch. So yeah. I think that's really awesome. You brought up Ultimate Muscle.
Do you remember Taguru from Yu Yu Hakusho? The Takuro brothers?
Barely. Oh, wow. You're digging back deep. I'll definitely have to Google them. Probably for the purpose of this video. I'll just throw up a picture of them.
Yeah, and from a personality standpoint, though, I was thinking about it. Now, I really am drawn to characters who have chips on their shoulders with something to prove, with no gifts given to them immediately. So, Rock Lee from Naruto, right?
Yes, the guy with the eyebrows.
Yes, exactly. I remember Guy Sensei being he sucked at everything, so he just focused on what he was good at, and it's just that resonated with me. I love heroes who don't have powers too, so who just rely on their willpower and then also kind of have a revenge story. So I love say the Punisher a lot. I like Batman a lot. Everyone likes Batman. I kind of didn't want to say
kind of a
him,
Becky thing. I like Batman. Yeah, everyone likes Batman. It's like liking cheeseburgers, or whatever.
And I never root for the hero. Like I loved Saito from Rurouni Kenshin.
Oh, but dude, everybody loves Saito. He basically was the Batman on Kenshin. Basically,
I like Vicious from Cowboy Bebop a lot.
Vicious was cool, if not
Vicious
a little
was
emotional
cool.
and weird, but yeah, he's pretty cool.
And when it comes to like Game of Thrones or video games, I loved King. King is my favorite video game character of all time. And then Game of Thrones, I love the Night King. So I also like characters who are just done with humanity's BS. You know, it's like, yo, hey, just stop, people.
Yeah, like you're dumb and you're throwing a bunch of dumb stuff at me, and I'm just gonna solve that with my fists.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
those are the
so
kind of
I'm definitely seeing some kind of like fisticuff melee fighter in your future, right? Like somebody who has, again, is almost an anti-hero, you mentioned. Like, it seems like a lot. I mean, and I'm the same way. I super gravitate towards the anti-heroes. Like, just the other day I was tweeting about how I would probably just dress up as the villains of Sailor Moon, you know? I watched a lot of Sailor Moon growing up, but yet now that I'm an adult, I'm like, no, I kind of identify more with the villainesses, and especially I want to wear what they're wearing. Usually because it's some amazing hoe clothes. But anyway, the anti-hero thing is interesting. Why do you think that the anti-heroes appeal to you versus the more mainstream Superman square jaw guys?
Because they're more realistic. Like I don't think that life is like that. I don't think life is like there's a definitive good and there's like a definitive evil. And also I don't think that, there's always a clean way to solve a problem. But a lot of times, like I love the idea of just like I'm trying. Let me see if I can explain this easily. Kind of, I guess, gravitating and absorbing what life is giving to you, right? And almost accepting it, like welcoming the I guess struggle of life, and then using that as a advantage, and using that as a power and stuff, and then just not. A lot of times, the perspective that these anti-heroes take, I feel like, are more realistic and more they understand more about life than, like, say, the goody two shoes character, or like, say, the pure evil character, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense, because it is true that when you're undertaking problem solving in your life, sometimes you have to be the bad guy, and the person themselves, you don't feel like you are the bad guy, but other people might not agree. And that's something I really love to incorporate into my storytelling. The idea of a gray hero. A hero that is just a bit morally not super on the up and up, but it's what gets the job done, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, when you were growing up, you got to see all these awesome anime characters, Ultimate Muscle, Dragon Ball Z, Rurouni Kenshin. What did you wish you saw more of? Was there a thing that you feel like there was lacking that you kind of wish you saw? Maybe you're seeing it now. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, even in anime. So a little history from what I understand from the history that was given to me, even in my collegiate studies. Japanese anime, those characters don't look Asian, right? Like
right? What is up with that?
Right. So this goes back to, I think, even the 19th century, where I think to appeal to a Western audience, the Japanese made characters who were more, I guess, European looking, and kind of use that to kind of, because the Japanese have a really interesting history of trying to Westernize themselves, but at the same time delicately keeping their culture, which is really interesting.
That's a hell of a tightrope to walk. Yeah.
Yeah, but they've been able to walk it, I guess, a little well. Now, one thing that I have had an issue with and still have an issue with, and I don't know if I'm necessarily the representative who can, like, talk about this, but it does kind of upset me how, I guess, there's not a lot of, say, Asian representation, like pure Asian representation in pop culture, where every time you see an Asian on screen, it's like they're fighting, they're a ninja, or they're like super smart, or they're like dying in a war, or they're a sidekick, or here's another thing: characters that I love and I'm drawn to are alpha males.
Okay.
And there's just I can't think really of an Asian character who's an alpha male.
Oh, you're gonna love the third chapter of Valkyrie then. That's coming.
Okay?
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not familiar with, like,
yeah. I've
Valkyrie.
already written a character like that into it. He's definitely a leader type, and in the scene that like he's the very first. It's the very first scene in chapter 3, and yeah, you have there is no question who is boss here, and oh, you're gonna like that. You like
Excellent.
that. Okay,
Excellent.
so yeah, I mean, and that is true. You really don't see Asian men as like strong guys who are in the lead taking control of a situation, right? It's always, well, I'm a really helpful sidekick, or I'm a smart guy who's gonna help you hack into things.
Or I'm a black belt, and I'm just going to use my like karate and taekwondo techniques to just solve everything.
To solve everything, but then let the white guy take credit for it because reasons. Like, no.
Yeah. No, exactly. Like, that's why I was so supportive of the last, because Jackie Chan is probably the only guy who could just be a normal human being on the screen and be a main card Asian character, which is why his last movie that had Pierce Brosnan in it, like, I was like, I don't care if this movie's good or bad, I'm throwing my dollars at it because I want to tell Hollywood that I want to see more, like, Asian representation like this, you know?
Dude, right? Yeah, I get it. And there are a lot of conversations going on about this, especially on Twitter and social media. That yeah, we do need better Asian American representation, or just Asian representation in general. The American hyphen is really just for this country in particular, but we're a global economy, and entertainment is economy. Yeah, it's true. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything I really disagree with you on that front. Totally agree. Also, if I want to add, we need more Asian male lead love interests. That's
absolutely. It seems to me that Asians just can't be normal. They can't have sex appeal. Like, they can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Asian males are just like, and I'm not saying that they're like discriminated against, but to me, it's like there's also like a money aspect to be made there, because a lot of these Hollywood movies are made for China and
right.
These emerging markets. They actually have to edit things out and put things in to make it appeal and make sense to. I think Hollywood makes most of their money in Asia, because that's where
they are making. It's getting to the point where East Asia, especially China, is one of the biggest markets in the world for movie consumption. Because here in America, we're falling off. Right, we're too distracted by 5,000 other types of entertainment at our fingertips. But in China, people are still going to see movies. So, yeah, you're seeing a lot more of that. But then you have stuff like The Great Wall that comes out, and I'm scratching my head forever. I don't understand.
I cannot tell you how upsetting that was. When I saw it, it's like, The Great Wall, but Matt Damon will save all of you. It's just
Matt Damon and his dry-ass hair bun, right? Ugh, no. And I think it's just some kind of cosmic joke, because I guess Matt Damon must have pissed off somebody, but they have him cast next to Pedro Pascal, who's like 10 times better looking than him, and I'm like, oh,
I don't know
Maddie,
why
you
we're
pissed
still
off
having
someone.
Matt Damon solve problems, because like he constantly screws up everything.
He's
like, why are we
terrible.
Still sending him into space?
No, we have to rescue him all the time, right?
Yeah.
How much money have we spent saving Matt Damon from things? Let him die, people. It's cheaper. You can find another white guy, I promise. So, oh my god. All right, I'll just edit that out. That's just my mom. Okay. So that actually leads into my next and final question, because this doesn't need to run too long. But what kind of hero do you want to see for the next generation, or even be? Because remember, I'm sketching you out.
Okay, like, I guess that's two questions, like the kind of heroes I would like to see, and then if I was a hero, like, which one would I like to be? I think
I'm gonna cast the Jtrain in a story. I mean, hell, you may even end up in my wasteland. I don't know. So what you want to be? Who do you want to be? As a fighter.
I would be so honored to be in one of your works. That'd be so cool. But I think when it comes to what I would like to see more of, the thing is, we live in a diverse world, especially in the United States. Like, it is a lot more diverse than a lot of the world, because I've been around the world, and coming back, you just kind of realize like how diverse things are. And as someone who's grown up in a diverse family, I'm talking like from a cultural standpoint, sexuality, all that stuff. Like, I've been around and have friends who are across so many spectrums, and I feel like being in an area, like even being from the Washington D.C. area where a lot of people come in to move to and everything. Diversity is great because you get to see other perspectives, and then when you are met with those perspectives and people who are different from you, your first instinct is to ask questions and be open-minded, as opposed to that's different, that's not me, let me just get that out of the way. So I think that I think stuff like what Black Panther has proven and what other works of pop culture have proven is that you can market around people, because not everyone, when you have the same thing showing up in pop culture, you don't capture everybody, and you also kind of let people believe that like only a certain kind of person can fit a certain kind of role, and I think that is very dangerous.
It's very dangerous. It's also boring. I mean,
it's very boring. Yes.
It gets really boring after a while. Like when I see the same few guys on screen over and over again, like. It's like, really? Again? Oh, that guy's doing the same thing again. Oh, they took his daughter again? Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, when are they going to learn to stop taking his kid? That's terrible. Also, why does his daughter keep getting kidnapped? Maybe she should be in a place that's a little kidnap-proof, huh? You know,
yeah,
like
absolutely.
You just see the same thing over and over again, and it is dangerous because it affects people's perceptions in the real world.
Yeah.
We like to believe that entertainment is just entertainment. We can separate fact from fiction, but we can't. Not really.
No, I mean we can. Like, so if you're only seeing like, let's, I'm not going to try to like call out any specific race or whatever, but like let's say like somebody is purple, right? And the only time the only person who can like save people and be like the number one hero and everything, they're always that color. It's you think, oh well, anything else must be like less.
That means we
or
can't
not
have
as
a
good.
hero who is not a purple people eater, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, your question of like what I would like to be, so it might be a little obvious. Like I like, the big like kind of unstoppable force kind of look character, the guy who looks like he could just walk through a wall.
The guy who is the wall.
Yeah, and then eat the wall, and then drop kick the wall. Yeah, and it just doesn't really resort to like any kind of gifts that was given. Just kind of will just stand there and just trade punches with life. I also really love. Macabre, evil-looking, dark kind of things a lot. And I don't know, I guess if I had any kind of superpower, it'd be something that was like some sort of like dark arts used for like good, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But yeah, the guy who just kind of just seems like an So League of Legends, for example, my favorite character is like Yorick, where he's you've drawn him for me before.
I did.
You did a fantastic job. My friend said, wow, that's really freaking awesome.
Yep.
He's like this grave digger who can like summon these like demons, but he's good. He's like a quote unquote. He's not necessarily a good character.
He's using
he's
like
great.
necromancy, but for the sake of good, as opposed to taking over the world.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's kind of what I'm into, but definitely like the brawn, the muscle, all that stuff. I mean, I have my own biases. Like when I see somebody who's like that's why I can't really identify with say. English heroes, because I don't like how they do heroes, and it's not that I think they do them wrong. It's just like it's always just this kind of like softer kind of guy who's just like oh well I'm a wizard. It's just like bro, I need my heroes to look like they walked off the set of Rambo and the Terminator. Like 80s America heroes are like what I love a lot.
So you probably saw all 3 of the Expendables.
Oh, I saw at least the first 2. I don't know if I saw the third.
I sometimes forget there was a third. But I do remember seeing the first and the second one. That was an interesting movie. Also, the first movie was definitely Stallone's love letter to Jason Statham, which was definitely a little strange. But okay, I guess we'll just go with that. But yeah, I get it, because I think we're cut from the same mold here, where I also came from. The 80s, where I would also consume all these crazy movies, these crazy big dude action heroes. I mean, I don't see myself inhabiting an action hero like that, but certainly I could see myself allying or, making friends with a guy like that. Like, I would want a big wall guy on my team.
Yeah.
Please break down these walls by beating the wall and chewing the scenery.
A guy who can, like, just turn into, like, some sort of dark demon. So like Toguro, when you're done with this, look up Toguro again from Yu Hakusho.
Yeah.
Him, he's awesome. But again, this kind of goes back to what we're talking about, where every incarnation of like look up to hero guy that I've had in my life was like they're super muscly, they're super intense, they're super like a certain way, and so I try to embody that because that's all I saw growing up when it came to like heroes and pop culture. So I think that kind of, I don't want to say proves, but shows that what I'm shown growing up is what I tend to believe is like the optimal, like say male or like the optimal hero. And so when you have more representation, maybe you don't have that when you become my age or something.
Exactly. So you don't have to miss out on. And that's part of what I do, because a lot of the work that I do is all ages. So I like to keep my books accessible to everybody, so that young kids, 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds can look at my work and go, "Wow, hey, that's like me, but it's a hero guy. How awesome!" So
Yeah.
yeah, I think we're definitely on the same page here, and I think we can only benefit from having more diversity. And you think about the big strides that pop culture has made over the last 30 or 40 years, it was driven by diversity. Like, I was just recently rewatching Scarface because they put it on Netflix, and I thought, wow, Scarface was originally a movie about gangsters in the 30s. They remade it in 1980s Miami, based on the cocaine revolution. Can we call it a revolution? I don't know. The cocaine, whatever.
The cocaine revolution.
The cocaine tidal wave that actually built Miami, and it's true. Cocaine built Miami. Sorry, Miami. It's okay. I'm from Florida. I can talk crap about Miami.
So how did you feel about them not having an actual Cuban play Montana?
It's problematic, but number one, Al Pacino, he's basically a Latino. Come on, you can't channel that level of rage and that level of energy unless you don't have it in you. Like, that's not a thing. Okay, I consider Italians are basically Latinos, but with better public relations. I don't know. I don't consider Pacino not a Latino, but yeah, it's problematic, and you just kind of go, you shrug. It was the '80s. It sucks. They're actually, I believe they're Universal is in work on the new remake of Scarface. But coming back to my original point, Scarface was about a 1930s gangster, but when it was redone, they completely rebooted it and made it in 1980s Miami, and they really, really updated it for the 80s, and making it about Cuba and stuff. That was actually a really edgy move. I kind of wish they had some follow through and cast a Latino lead, but whatever. I mean, that was at least the start. All right, it's got to start somewhere. Like I said, it's problematic, but we love it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, I guess in close, I know that we're kind of wrapping up here, but another thing I'd like to say while I have the floor here is that I'm so happy with where pop and nerd culture has gone. I listened to this guy who does podcasting and stuff, and he said, and he's right, the nerds won. I remember going to high school, and it's like to play Magic the Gathering at high school. Like you showed how much you loved it because you were judged. Things were thrown at you. People thought of you differently. Good luck dating girls and stuff like that. But nowadays, you can just. I think teenagers could show up to high school and, like, say a Pikachu hat, and like, oh, I love Pikachu.
Oh yeah, and everybody can just have the conversation about it. It's a bonding experience. It's not, oh, you're a nerd.
Yeah, Marvel essentially prints money now. Yeah. The number one show on TV has dragons and sword fighting, and these Comic-Cons get bigger every single year. And what makes this like beautiful is everyone has inside of them some sort of piece of pop culture that they love, and they should just embrace it and be into it, because it just shows like how I've had so much fun over these past years just embracing the pop culture, the art, the things, the types of media that I'm like into, and I feel like it expands my creative horizons, and to find people who feel the same way and not having to feel like I have to fit a certain other mold is just beautiful. So.
That is wonderful, and that is exactly what escapism and nerd culture should bring to us. It should be the ability to escape and become something new, but also embrace what's inside of us. All right, I want to thank you, Jason, for your contributions today. Once I get the video up, it'll be great. But yeah, do you have any last things that you'd like to say for the audience? Any last messages you'd like to send as far as just your attitude, or any last things?
I guess the last things I would have is like just from my experience in life and everything. Make sure you ask questions before you pass judgment, and also don't ever apologize for being yourself, and just embrace who you are, because the worst person that you could betray is yourself, and you will be being your optimal person is what you should always try to be, the true person that you are. So
that's great. Thank you. That is absolutely wonderful, Jason. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the show, and I'll be releasing the video in a little while, and thanks for your input. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's great talking to you again as always.
Hey, if you dug this, make sure you subscribe to the channel to get even more ethnocentric videos.